والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى خصوصا على أفضلهم وخاتم النبيين محمد الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He ought to be praised, and we thank Him this night for the opportunity to be here in Kota Damansara in Kuala Lumpur after 4 years back in Malaysia. And we pray for peace and for blessings on all His noble messengers, and in particular on the last of them all, the Blessed Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Our subject is not a difficult one, don't worry with the chairman. Islam and the end of history. I gave this lecture in Penang 4 years ago, and you may have listened to it on something called YouTube. You heard about it? Yeah. And now once again here in Kota Damansara. The lecture is divided into 3 parts. In the first part we'll try to distinguish between the end of history and the end of the world. End of history, you know, Akhiru Zaman. Akhiru Zaman. An end of the world. In the second part, we will look at Akhiru Zaman in different other religions and ideologies. What is the Buddhist view? What is the Hindu view? What is the Christian view? What is the Jewish view? This will be very interesting for you on Akhiru Zaman. And finally, what is the view of that imposter? That imposter. You know him, you met him. Modern Western civilization. And then finally, what is the Islamic view of the end of history? So this is 3 parts, inshallah. The Quran tells us about history that it is always witnessing conflict between al-haq and al-batil, truth and falsehood. However, history cannot end without the triumph of truth over falsehood. Before that, when the prophets of Allah came, like in the case of Musa alayhi salam, truth triumphed over falsehood. You remember when falsehood was underneath the water drowning? Pharaoh? Truth triumphed. In the case of Dawood alayhi salam, in the case of Sulaiman alayhi salam, in the case of Nabi Isa alayhi salam, there is some unfinished business. So the story is not finished yet. He's coming back. In the case of Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, he actually went into the Kaaba and took a stick, a rod, and he knocked down the idols one by one. And as the idols came crashing to the ground, he recited the ayah, وَقُلْ جَاءَ الْحَقِّ وَزَهَقَ الْبَاطِلِ إِنَّ الْبَاطِلَ كَانَ زَهُوقًا. Truth has come. I hope Singapore is listening. Truth has come. I hope Washington is listening. Truth has come. And falsehood has been vanquished, toppled. I hope London is listening. Falsehood will always be defeated and toppled. when the final moment comes in the historical process, at the end of history, Akhiru Zaman, then truth has to triumph over falsehood for the last time. And that will be the end of history. But that is not the end of the world. No, no, no. We don't know how long the world is going to last after that. Only Allah knows the end of the world. The end of the world is when you will have the destruction of everything and its transformation into something new, and then you'll have the resurrection, al-ba'thu ba'd al-maut. That is the end of the world. So now that we have explained to you, it's quite simple, isn't it? The distinction between the end of history and the end of the world. We can now proceed to the second part of the lecture. Namely, what is the conception of Akhiru Zaman in Buddhism, in Hinduism, and other religions? When I was 29 years of age, I wrote my first book entitled Islam and Buddhism in the Modern World. And we have some copies of that book with us here tonight. The Buddhists rejected the Hindu caste system. The Buddhists rejected the worship of all the gods and goddesses of Hinduism. But Buddhism accepted the Hindu belief in reincarnation, that you die and you're born again. Well, the US dollar is dying now. I don't think it's going to be reborn. It is in intensive care unit now, the US dollar. So we die and we are born again, and die and we are born again. They call it reincarnation. And so they say that history moves in cycles. Cyclic movement of history. You start, you go around, you reach the end, you start again, you go around, you reach the end. Until you achieve something called nirvana. Nirvana, when you achieve it, now you will no longer be reborn. You will now be absorbed into the cosmic life force, because Buddhism doesn't talk about God. In Hinduism they have it a little bit more specific. They call it the big soul, Param Atma, and you are absorbed into that Param Atma, so you're no longer going to be born and reborn and born and reborn. The Hindus, and I believe the Buddhists as well, I'm not too sure, the Hindus for certain are of the view that we are now located at a moment in time when a cycle is coming to an end. So they also have this Akhiru Zaman, but Akhiru Zaman of this cycle. The Christian belief is that God incarnated, took human form, and came and lived on earth in the person of Nabi Isa alayhi salam, Jesus. And so when God lived on earth, that for them was the golden age. They still consider it to be the golden age, even though they believe that he was crucified. He was crucified, and yet the golden age. They believe that history has moved in a linear, straight line, linear direction, but constantly downhill, going down, going down, going down. Until that time comes when Jesus is to come back. And when he comes back, then truth in Christianity, or the Christian claim to truth, would be validated. So they're waiting for Jesus to come back. When he comes back, Jesus is going to be the ruler of the world from Jerusalem. So Jerusalem is the key to the end of history in the Christian view. The Jewish view is that the golden age was when Nabi Dawood and Nabi Sulaiman alayhim salam established the holy state of Israel in the Holy Land. And that holy Israel was the ruling state in the world. And so the Jews ruled the world. And truth in Judaism was triumphant in the world. That was the golden age. The Jews believe that because of their violation of the covenant with Allah, that Allah punished them. They accept that. And so they were exiled from the Holy Land. The Jews believe that Allah hath made a promise to them, that He's going to send to them one who will be known as Al-Masih, the Messiah. And when He comes, He will bring back the golden age. And Israel will rule the world one more time. And that golden age would validate the Jewish claim to truth. So history would end with truth in Judaism triumphant in the world. The Christians and the Jews both have the belief that the Messiah will come to Jerusalem, and from Jerusalem he'll rule the world. But in the Christian view, the Messiah is Nabi Isa alayhi salam. In the Jewish view, no, they don't accept that. They reject him. They say about him, وَنَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنْ هَذَا, he's a bastard. And a bastard cannot be the Messiah. No, because his mother was not married. وَبِكُفْرِهِمْ وَقَوْلِهِمْ عَلَى مَرْيَمَ بُهْتَانًا عَظِيمًا, says Allah in the Quran in Surah An-Nisa, that this was an act of kufr on their part, to hurl this slander at the fair name of Maryam alayhi salam.